Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, Sasuzer MC3075. Thanks for the awesome suggestion. You asked, why do we call police cops? It's a word we hear all the time in movies, TV shows, news reports, and everyday conversations. But have you ever stopped to think about where it actually came from? Was it because early police officers wore copper badges? Is it short for Constable on Patrol? Or is the real answer something entirely different? Stick around as we uncover the surprising history behind one of the most common words in the English language, right here on History of Simple Things. To understand the nickname, it helps to know a little about policing itself. While societies have always had people responsible for keeping order, organized police forces are surprisingly recent. For centuries, towns relied on unpaid night watchmen, constables, and local volunteers rather than professional officers. That changed in 1829 when the Metropolitan Police Service was established in London under the leadership of Sir Robert Peel. These officers became known as bobbies or peelers, nicknames that still exist in Britain today. As professional policing spread across Europe and North America during the 19th century, each country, and sometimes each city, developed its own slang for police officers. Among those names, one of the shortest eventually became the most enduring, cop. The most widely accepted explanation traces cop to the English verb to cop, meaning to seize, to catch, or to capture. That verb itself comes from the Old French word caper, which originated from the Latin capere, meaning to take. Long before anyone used the word for police officers, people already used phrases like cop a thief or cop someone to mean catching or capturing them. By the mid-1800s, the noun cop naturally emerged to describe the person whose job was doing exactly that, the one who caught criminals. Linguists consider this explanation the strongest because it follows a natural pattern in English. We often turn actions into job titles. A baker bakes, a painter paints. Likewise, a cop was someone who copped or caught lawbreakers. Written records from the mid-19th century show the word appearing in newspapers, novels, and everyday speech, especially in Britain before becoming common in the United States. Over time, it gradually replaced several older slang terms. You've probably heard another explanation. According to the story, police officers were called cops because they wore badges made of copper. It's an appealing idea because the word copper sounds so similar to cop. Unfortunately, historians have found no solid evidence that this is where the nickname originated. While some early badges were indeed made from copper or copper alloys like brass, many weren't. More importantly, written evidence shows that the verb to cop already existed long before modern police badges became common. Linguists generally agree that the nickname evolved from the older verb rather than the metal itself. The similarity between copper and cop likely reinforced the nickname after it was already in use, helping the myth spread from generation to generation. Another claim occasionally appears online that COP stands for Constable on Patrol or Constable on Point. It sounds convincing because the letters line up perfectly. The problem is that there's no historical evidence for either phrase. In fact, this type of explanation is known as a backronym, when people invent a phrase to fit a word that already existed. English contains many famous examples of backronymous, but they rarely reflect the word's true origin. Language experts generally reject these theories because no official police documents or historical records from the time use those expressions as the source of the nickname. As English spread across the globe, so did the word cop. American movies, detective novels, crime dramas, and television shows played a huge role in making it internationally recognizable. Today, cop is understood in many English-speaking countries, even if locals have their own preferred terms. In Britain, you'll still hear Bobby. Australians may say the police or use local slang. Canadians use both police officer and cop. Thanks to Hollywood, however, the word has become almost universally understood. Interestingly, the tone of the word depends on context. In most situations, cop is considered informal rather than insulting. Police officers themselves often use it casually. Terms like good cop, bad cop, beat cop, and cop car have become part of everyday English. There's another reason the word has survived for nearly 2 centuries. It's efficient. Languages naturally favor shorter words that are easy to pronounce. Saying police officer takes 5 syllables. Cop takes just 1. The same thing happens with many professions. Firefighters become firemen in older usage. Detectives become detectives or simply dicks in historical slang. And photographers become photogs in journalism. Once a short nickname becomes widely understood, it often outlives the longer version in casual conversation. That's exactly what happened with cop. So, despite the many stories circulating online, the evidence points to a surprisingly simple answer. The nickname cop most likely comes from the Old English verb meaning to catch or to seize, which itself traces back through French and Latin roots. It wasn't named after copper badges, and it isn't an acronym for Constable on patrol. Those explanations may sound clever, but history doesn't support them. Sometimes the most familiar words have the most fascinating journeys. A nickname born from an old verb became one of the world's best-known names for police officers, surviving changes in language, culture, and law enforcement for nearly 200 years. The next time you hear someone say, "The cops are here," you'll know that the word carries a much longer history than most people ever realize. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.